Okay, in this section what we're going to do is we're going to go over some chain code basics. We're going to create a business network using Yo scaffolding. We're going to write a basic model in Chaincode and test it. We're going to start Fabric and create a peer admin card. We're going to deploy the runtime. We're going to test the Chaincode, and we're going to run Explorer. So we'll start by creating a business network scaffolding using Yo. So let me make sure I'm in the right location. Okay, chapter 2 is what I wanted to see. So let me make a directory called chapter 2 Yo as instructed in lab 2 task 1. Let me cd. Oops, let me spell it right. Chapter 2 _ Yo. Let me cd into chapter 2 _ Yo, and from there I'm going to use a Yo generator to create the business scaffolding. So that will be Yo Hyperledger Composer. This is what we installed earlier. This will take a second to execute. We want a business network. University example is the name that we want to use. Yours might look a little different, but it'll be the same data. We can put in whatever description you like. There's the author. The namespace is important. The business network name is important, and the namespace is important. And in this case, yes, we want to generate an empty template network. Okay. So if I do an ls here, you'll see that we have the university example in chapter 2. If I go in university example, you can see those are the artifacts that are created. So let me go back one directory here. So I'm in chapter 2 Yo right now, which is what we just created. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Visual Studio Code. I'm going to open chapter 2 Yo, open folder, chapter 2 Yo. Let me open that. Then we'll reset Visual Studio Code. And you should see this is what's created. There's the model that we discussed. There's the namespace that it defined for you. And from here, this is where you would go in and you would create your logic.js under a lib folder that you would create. You can also create test, etc. Okay. So let's close this. File, close folder. That will reset Visual Studio Code. It'll take me back here. So let me move out of this directory now. I just wanted to show you that the Yo generator is what you use to get started. But in our case, we already have some starter code. Let me unzip chapter 2.zip here. I'm going to move capital C chapter 2 to lowercase chapter 2. Okay, so now we have chapter 2. This is the code that's supplied to you. So from here I want to go back into Visual Studio Code. I want to open folder chapter 2. And when you open that folder in Visual Studio Code, you should see the entire application. Okay, this was created with Yo scaffolding for Hyperledger Composer. My chain code is in the library. Okay. My transaction processor functions are here. My model, my .cto file is listed here. There's also several scripts that have been supplied for you, and there's also the test as well. Okay. Chaincode tests.js, which we will discuss at a later time. Okay, I am going to proceed. I'm not going to go into the contents of the files because that's all spelled out in the lab guide. But what I am going to do is I'm going to move on to task 3. And in task 3, what we want to do is we want to start Fabric and create a peer admin card. So let's start by going into Fabric Dev Servers. Depending upon the version, it might be Fabric Tools, it doesn't matter. But let's cd into Fabric Dev Servers. There's the location, at least on my server. So from Fabric Dev Servers, you can see there's a Start Fabric command. That's what we want to execute. And notice that it is launching with Hyperledger Fabric version 1.2. And as it comes up, it will show you that we have one certificate authority from this org. We have an orderer from example.com. Notice that's an IANA compliant domain name. We're launching this with CouchDB. We have our first peer from the same organization, org1. Okay, so it looks like it came up without issue. Let's do a couple of things here. First, I want to create a peer admin. I need an admin so I can interface with the network. So there's a create peer admin card.sh. So let me execute that. Create peer admin card.sh. Okay, again, this is going to be on Hyperledger Fabric 1.2. I'm creating all the crypto for this admin. And if it succeeds, I should see the card name. And I should also see the user ID. You're going to need to remember both of those. And if you wanted to list it at any time, you could do composer, card list, -- card. I like to just type this in. 1. So I have this in my command line history. And there it is. Alright, so now I've created an admin and all the crypto that goes with that admin. Okay, so the other thing that you want to do at this point is you're going to want to go back to Visual Studio Code, and remember in Visual Studio Code we installed Docker. So if you select Docker Explorer from here, it should show you all of the images, it should show you all of the containers. You can see the versions of our containers. We have CouchDB, a single orderer, which references CouchDB, a single certificate authority, and a single peer is what we have. Okay. So now we should be able to interface with our entire network. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and take this network down. There are a list of scripts in Chapter 2. And one script is shutdown.sh. What I would encourage you to do is to open up shutdown.sh. And there's a couple of variables that I added that I would suggest you take a look at. And in mine, on lines 2 and 3, I exported the proper path. So Sometimes it'll say Fabric-Tools. And also, I'm not using a Mac, so I updated this script to point to the ubuntu.sh. And finally, if you cd, make sure you actually just cd to the path instead of trying to use the variable. So I just want to show that. Let me get out of here. So now if I shut down .sh, it should take down the servers. Okay, now the servers are shut down. And now let's go into startup.sh. So I'm still in these custom scripts. By the way, these are all custom scripts here. But if I VI into startup.sh, it's going to be the same thing. Let's go ahead in this variable here, put in the proper path. And one other important detail. When you cd, again, just cd to the actual directory. That'll save a lot of grief. Let me exit out of here. So from that, if I do a startup.sh, and this should be obvious, but it doesn't matter if you do it from PuTTY, it doesn't matter if you do it from the terminal inside of the Ubuntu image, or if you do this from the integrated terminal in Visual Studio Code. But here, again, in Hyperledger Fabric version 1.2, and we're just launching the network again. Should be just about done. Okay, perfect. Okay, same thing. Composer card list. That should show you all of your cards. Okay, let's continue on to task 4. Let's go back one directory. Where are we at? Let's see the contents of that. Okay, let's make their dist. Let's create the banana file here as it mentions in task 4. dir -n space dot space -a dist university underscore example.bna. Okay. And so if you go into dist, you should see your banana file created there. Okay, let's go ahead now and start our network. Where am I at? Okay, this is the command to start your network. Composer network start -- network name. Our network name -- network admin. The admin and role secret. Our card. Okay, and we want networkadmin.card, and here's our version. So let me execute that. And it's starting our business network. Okay, so the card has been created. Let's do ls. Okay, so you can see the card exists now. The next thing we want to do is we want to import that business network admin card. And here's the command to do that. Pretty straightforward. Okay, and now we need to verify everything has been completed successfully. We just need to ping the network and check for success. So here we have composer, network, ping, card, admin at university example. And we have a successful response. We will pick up in the next video with build and deploy.